Hey there, how's it going? I wanted to pop in here quickly and just talk to you a little bit about some tips for how to talk about money when you live with a spender. I just want to mention if you haven't already, you can subscribe to my channel and click the bell to be notified whenever I hit new videos. And I like to come in here and talk to you about practical money tips, but also I share a lot of like my messy story, which is much cleaner now. And then also, I give you some tips on like how to deal with money in relationships also. So, what I wanted to talk about today was living with a spender. And so, one of the key points that I want to mention is if you are not the spender and you're watching this video, how you approach the other person has everything to do with how successful your conversation will be. Because it needs to be a conversation, not a competition, right? We don't need to be right. We need to have an open dialogue about communication and what is happening. Let's just take some for examples. If you have somebody who has spent several $100s on a new guitar, let's say, and you're wondering like, wow, I wonder why he bought a new guitar when he already has 5 guitars, right? One of the ways that you need to come at the conversation is, first of all, have you had any level set conversations to begin with? Have you already had some basic discussions about money, like your goals together, what it will take to reach your goals together? And then, if you both agree on like how much the other person can spend willy nilly on whatever they want without having to check in with you about it or check in with each other about it, right? So if you haven't had that level set conversation, that needs to come first. So I'm going to recommend, I've got a free mini course. If you go to my website, which I'll link to below, there's a free mini course and it kind of talks through like how to like set goals and start to have some of these conversations about what you want with your money and what you want out of life. And then it's going to also get into, how to track your spending, how to pay off debt, things like that too. But level setting with your end game goals first is really going to help to kind of dial it back when you have individual conversations, when you can point to, okay, so do you remember how we talked about how we want to do this and this is what our goals are? If we're overspending on these things or spending a lot on these things, then it may slow us down or we may not reach those goals, right? So it gives you something that you can come back to. Again, if you haven't had that conversation, then it's pretty hard to just blindside the other person and start talking to them about their spending. So level set first. And also I want you to come at it from a mindset of listening, right? So just like sort of just like have a curious, open mind and listen to, okay, you already own about 50 pairs of shoes. So tell me again, why did we buy one more pair of shoes? Right. And just really like understanding, because sometimes the purchases come from something else. They come from a need for belonging, or it's filling some other void that they have in their lives, or it's for status, or something. So come at it from a point of curiosity. I'm not saying that you have to go that deep in this conversation, but understand that sometimes you can uncover things, whether you want to or not, that are like a little bit like deeper, and it's going to be more than one conversation. So that's another thing, is that I want you to listen. Also, um, try to just stick to the facts. And the facts are, like you spent this amount of money on this. Like that's the fact. You can both agree on it, right? And make sure that you both agree on it. And then you can talk about maybe like what that brings up for you. So if the other person's spending is bringing something up for you, maybe think through that a little bit first. It kind of helps you to have a clear mind before you go into the conversation, to say like, what is it about that that's really bothering me? Like, am I really mad about like the new shoes, or am I really mad about the new guitar, or is it that there's something else, right? So I'll just pull a random example. If you've got a spouse that maybe like, goes out and buys a round of golf for, him and a bunch of other guys too, and it's several $100s. Maybe what that might be bringing up is, it's not about the money, it's not about the golf, it's about the lack of time that you spent together on that weekend, and instead feeling like he's prioritized other people ahead of you, right? So that's just a basic example where you can kind of get into some things like that. So keep in mind that when you're having these conversations, also, you want to make sure that you stay on topic and don't like start rattling off into like all these other things of, but yeah, but what about that other time? And what about this other time? And also understand that, if you're trying to, help accomplish goals together, first of all, sometimes it's going to take time, but sometimes it takes like some gentle steering in the right direction. It's like putting the bumpers up on the bowling alley for the young kids. It's just like you're just kind of trying to like stay within the rails. That ball may still go all over the place, but you just want to kind of like keep it within the rails. And so, sometimes having these bigger conversations about like bigger life goals, it's going to take some time. If you're the finance person or the numbers person in the relationship, you have to try to make sure not to be a nag. But, you want to just keep in mind that big changes, especially behavioral changes, take a lot of time. So, anyway, I think I want to stop there for today, but I just wanted to kind of give a couple of like, sort of tips on how to approach these conversations. And again, do your work to begin with before you have the conversation about like what are the things that it's bringing up for you, and stick to the facts, right? And don't start talking about a whole bunch of other facts too, like just one conversation at a time. And again, it's a conversation, not a competition. So, try to like stay within those parameters too. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. I'll kind of keep dropping in and give you some other tips and tricks along the way of like how to have these more challenging money conversations as well. But also drop me any questions or comments that you have below. I'd be happy to respond to those as well too. And I'll talk to you again soon. Bye.